Welcome everyone to One on One, brought to you by the Phoenix TV. We are sitting today with the one and only CEO of Range of View, okay? Business mindset coach, entrepreneur, among so many amazing other things. We're sitting with the one and only Real Moneybag Rich. Real rich, rich, cause we really rich, you really rich, cause we really rich.
Every time you say that song, I gotta dance a little bit.
I love it. And it happens so organically. He really goes by Real Moneybag Rich, but many of you may know him as just Rich, Real Rich. Welcome to One on One. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing amazing. Thank you for inviting me here to Phoenix TV. I appreciate you, Frankie, Phoenix, everybody that's here. Thank you. Glitters too.
We love you. And we love you, Gino. Even though he just met you today. Give my man a break. No, because he was like, yeah. And I just felt your energy like, dang, I don't get no love. No. That's actually my little brother behind the lens.
Oh, okay,
okay. So I love him. That's my heart right there. So today we're so excited to have you on the show. First of all, thank you so much. It was an honor being on your show last week. I want to ask you about that aspect before we get into any business mindset and where you started in your humble beginnings. I always like to find out from other media personalities why they went into the media space. So with someone with so many different avenues that he could have touched, what made you want to start your very own podcast?
So that's a really good question. Basically, I wanted to start the podcast because you want something that is social proofable, something that's definitely recession proofable. And so that's how ROV got started to begin with, was no matter how much cameras change or videography changes, we can just upgrade the cameras or videographies. There's always going to be a need. People want to capture the moment. And so why not make a timeless thing with podcasting as well to really captivate the audience and get people's stories in real time?
That's actually a really good point about the real time aspect of it, because you're not waiting for them to necessarily drop something, or it doesn't have to be a marketing run. It's literally just organic conversation with your guests. So that's really, really dope. So let's get into the constructs, right, of what is a business mindset coach, because I know some of y'all ain't never heard of that.
So a business mindset coach, the difference between a business coach and a business mindset coach is a business coach is really going to go in there, scale your business, mostly probably do the things for you and everything like that, which is fine. That's what a lot of people want. They want automation. They want, just, hey, get me to the next level. And they'll definitely do that. But what a business mindset coach does is we go in, we focus on the behavioral patterns that people have. So that's the discipline, the time management, the, making sure everything is good behind the scenes. We focus on the limiting beliefs. Why are you thinking about this? Why did this happen? How did this happen? And then we go in and make systems, processes to break it down. Like, this is the step-by-step play to get to where you're trying to go.
I love that, because you're basically saying you give a guided tour through the entrepreneurship journey, right? Or through the business journey, whatever the business might be. So you're really almost there, almost like a personal fitness coach throughout your weight loss or
Absolutely.
your muscle gain or whatever your MO is, right? It's kind of that same thing, would you say?
Absolutely. The brain is one of the strongest muscles in your body. And so a lot of people go to the gym, they'll work out and everything, but they won't really double down on that knowledge. They may think like reading books is just enough, but there's a lot more to mentality than there is to, just reading a book or learning about a subject. It comes in the form of those behavioral patterns.
And I think that's a super important point that people don't think about, is how much behavior affects and impacts us, especially when we talk about how we perceive things, right? Like, you may think you're not successful because people don't support you or people don't come out to your stuff or whatever. But then if you start to take accountability and really look at some of those bad habits, did you post it in time? Did you create your flyers in a timely fashion? Did you book the venue with enough time? Did you give all moving parts enough notice? The patrons, the venue, the DJ, I'm just speaking from obviously event planning in my experience, but it could be with many things. So what kind of clientele would you say that you serve?
We serve everybody, but who I like to focus on would be, my people. And when I say my people is, people that I grew up like or in common with. And so I grew up in the hood, there's no way around that. And I want to target people because back then when I grew up, in those areas, Brooklyn, New York, shout out New York, you know what I'm saying?
New
Like,
York in the building, piggy.
I got expelled from school, I was doing all the wrong things at the right time, to lead me to the right path. And I didn't have anybody that still picked me up out of that. Somebody introduced me to a different point of life, which was the military. But as far as like somebody reaching down, there was a lot of YMCAs and everything like that, but that only taught like sports. That only taught, just curriculum activities type
keep
things.
Busy program.
Yeah, but they weren't really teaching financial literacy. They weren't really teaching like, yo, you got to know this about your taxes. You got to know this about business credit, about regular credit, about everything and all of that. And so I definitely want to cater that towards people that just have no idea, because some people can get stuck in their circumstance, but some people really just don't know.
Look, some people just don't know. I think that is so key, because a big part of, I would say from my vantage point, being a coach, is going through the process of the unknown with your client. And that could be in a variety of ways. If you're a consultant, if you're a doctor, you got to, identify the unknown, because you're there because you got a pain in your toe, but you don't know it's cancer on your toe. Or you don't know that it's a fractured nerve or whatever it is. So you always have to kind of test the pain points. What would you say are some of the biggest pain points? I know that's a term that you probably go through a lot, right, with your consulting. What pain points do you face as a entrepreneur in this space?
Pain points that I face as an entrepreneur in this space, I would say having to undo time. And that's one of the biggest pain points I have, because
I need to drink some water.
we go through high school, we learn things a certain way. Some people go through college, they learn things a certain way. And so automatically you're dealing with a minimum, if they didn't go to college, of 4 years of knowledge that people have been taught how to do things a certain way. When you go to high school, even middle school, your whole life growing up, you go in there, what's the first thing you do when you get to class? You have an assignment. You write your name on the paper, you write the date.
It's pragmatic.
Exactly. They put you on a sort of system. And so now we have to build this system and, of mindset in their head. But they're so used to the system that society taught them that they don't necessarily get to really take it to the next level of what the 1% does, because they're not teaching what the 1% does. And so having to undo years of that can become a point of impatience, because some people just don't get it and they don't understand. Even when you're explaining it to them, you could say, hey, 1 + 1 is 2, and they'll give you 4, 5, 6 all day. And it's like, no, I'm telling you, like, if you do this, you will get this. But because they've never done that, they can't see that 1 + 1 is 2.
Would you say that there's a particular career that seeks your services?
A particular career? Not a specific career. Honestly, everybody needs a business mindset coach one way or another. And everybody's somewhat had a business mindset coach. And so when people hear business and coach and business mindset and all that type of stuff, they get scared, but they also think about money. These things aren't just tied to money. Even for my name, I am associated with money. I call myself Moneybag. That's the money part. Rich actually doesn't have anything to do with money. If you look at the second definition of rich, it's an adjective. They have two, for those of you who don't know. And the second one is abundance. And so I'm rich in health, rich in wealth, and rich in prosperity. I'm rich in all aspects of my life.
You're abundant in all those aspects.
Exactly. And so that's where Moneybag Rich comes from, is the money bag is the money part, and then the richness is just the abundance.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm always a sucker for double meanings or double entendres, right? As a poet, it's like that stuff excites me. So excuse me that I look very in awe right now. One of the things I wanted to ask you on the line of talking about business mindset and scheduling and that pragmatic way of thinking, because you mentioned, you grew up in the hood, right? What parts of your childhood would you say, or even your teenagehood, do you bring with you? What are some of those street smarts that are combined with your book smarts?
I'm extremely, extremely raw. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not for everybody.
That's what he said.
You know what I'm saying? I'm genuinely not for everybody, and that's okay, because a lot of people try to appeal to everybody, and I have my audience. And so I stay in my lane. Right now I'm not in crypto. I'm not in real estate. I'm not in the market, the stock market, or whatever they have going on. Can you make money in these markets, and can you be successful in these markets? Absolutely. You have tons, tens, thousands of people doing it. But what my goal is to do is I want to create companies. I want to show other individuals like me that you can create a company, because when I was in the streets, I was doing things on a company CEO level, but not for a company. You know what I'm saying? I was doing it for the streets. And so it didn't make sense. The money that I made back then, just who knows where that is now. It's spent on kicks. It's spent on whatever. And if I had really understood the knowledge to just apply that and take that to a different level, you know what I'm saying? That's what it would be now. But me bringing that rawness of dealing with the streets. And so, I might tell somebody in business, straight up to their face, like, man, I don't like you, or oh, wow. I don't like that, or you can't do that to me, or you can't talk to me like that. Or if they really, say something that's super controversial, it hasn't gotten to that point in a while, but I'll be like, I smack fire out of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll really say something like that. But
violence, entice violence.
You know what I mean?
That's
like,
that Brooklyn come out.
But it comes to a point of passion. I only get to that level because I'm passionate about what I do. I don't cheat anybody out of anything. I don't steal from anybody. I don't do anybody wrong. And so by the time I get to that point, you definitely 100% did something to me. And so when people get me to that point and they, Rich is on a tangent again, they know something happened one way or another, because I'm not that kind of guy, but I am that kind of guy.
Now, I love that you've had all different types of guests on your show, right? Make sure that you guys support and follow Attractive Mindset, okay? Obviously, on the screen right now, DJ K. Dot. Big shout out to DJ K. Dot. That's one of my babies. I love her. She's a DJ, right? You have someone on there who's a health expert. You'll have someone else in real estate. Walk me through the different types of interviewees that you've had and why so much range.
I like what you did there. Bump it. We have different people on the shows because we could have 10 real estate people on the show. Everybody's a different human being. Everybody had a different experience to get to the level that they got to. And so even if all 10 did wholesale real estate, you know what I'm saying? They would all have a different way they got into wholesale real estate, because everybody's life is different at the end of the day. And so what we really focus on is more so the journey, not, the outcome. You can go on Instagram and see where they're at now, but we want them to get into the backstory. We want to, how did you get there? What's your mindset behind that? How did you really develop that? Because specific individuals who maybe want to do the same thing, if you have 100 people that want to watch about real estate, but, somebody is in the hood, you have to have somebody that appeals to the hood. You have to
appeal to your entire demographic.
And then you might have somebody that grew up, in a really good setting where that has to appeal to them. And so having different people from different walks of life show that it can still be done on a differential type of level.
And I think the range of careers also that you have on your show kind of speak to the talent in South Florida. Absolutely. Right? Because I think it's a lost gem. It's a not too popular topic to talk about the greatness of our amazing city. And that doesn't just go for Miami. That goes for Broward. That goes for Palm Beach. When we say South Florida, we mean everything underneath like Port Sand and Orlando. You feel me? Like, yeah, too north. So I love the range that you have. I love that you talk about some of these different things. Before we go on commercial break, my last question to you, I want to ask you, what drives you overall? Because I find that with creatives, when we have different, what's the word I'm looking for? Different inspirations and different lanes that we go into, something inspires us individually in all those lanes, right? So if you're an artist or you're a rapper, it might be you emulate Nas or you emulate, Jay-Z or something like that. If you are a Picasso artist or an artist, a visual artist, you might look up to Picasso. You might look up to Vincent van Gogh. So you might be a rapper and an artist, but you have different inspirations in two lanes. You get what I'm saying? I want to know for Rich, what is the overall, what drives you?
Well, what honestly drives me is two definite things, and people may look at them as a sort of negative, but sometimes negatives can be turned into positives, and in my case, that's exactly what it is. I've gone most of my adult life being told no. My parents, as far as my mother and my father, my father was around, but, Jamaican Trinidadian dude, off in the picture somewhere doing whatever. And so I only really spent summers with him. And on his side of the family, I had 17, 18 brothers and sisters, different moms and everything like that.
17, 18, yeah. That's like a whole class.
Absolutely. And, you know,
wow.
None of us were really close with him like that. And so I grew up with my mom, and that relationship with her was great, you know, while I was young. But growing up in the hood, you're forced to do things a certain way. And so she raised me to be a 7-day Adventist. And I had no problem going to church and everything, but, you know, the rules behind that were just crazy. And then being in the streets at the same time, it's like two different sides of the fence. And so I would be one person outside, and then I'd go home and be a complete different person.
Two different people, flip of a coin.
And so, you know, even in that, you know, what motivated me is as I got older, I started to learn to, man, I don't want to be told what to really do like that. I want to make my own decisions. And so, you know, it ended up to me getting kicked out at 16, and she moved to Atlanta, and that really started my journey as an adult. And I had to enroll in Jamaica High School by myself and just live that kind of lifestyle. And I did go homeless at a point for a little while, and I had to just deal with that situation. And people were like, oh, you're gonna end up in jail, you're gonna end up dead, you're gonna end up this, you're gonna end up that. And I just got told no over and over and over and over again. And, you know, even after I left the military, this is now fast forwarding towards like 2016, you know, to 2018, you know, my mom never looked at me the same still from when she kicked me out at 16. And so basically she didn't believe anything that I was doing. You know, it was on the fast track, and I went on this kind of, I don't even know what you call it. I went on this kind of mission to try and prove to her like, hey, I'm going to make it. And she just wouldn't have it, you know. And so 2018, I never forget it. September 17th, 2018, I called my mother and I said, hey, I'm going to start a production company. And she laughed in my face on the phone. And that hurt. It really hurt. And I was like, man, she was like, what do you think you're going to get? You know, movies, TV, celebrities, you know, and she's laughing like, you know, having a really good laugh. And I took it personal and I said, hey, cool, I'm going to do it. And I haven't talked to her since then, you know, but since then, we also have TV shows. We also have feature films. We have magazines. We have feature films. We've been in the Hard Rock, worked with Bacardi, Denny's, doing all of that.
Wait,
you know,
whoa! That's a lot. Wait, hold on. We gonna put a fork in it, right, or a cork in it, right? And we're going to make sure that we talk about these things when we come back from commercial break. We ain't just gonna zoom past these amazing opportunities and contracts. No. Don't go nowhere. You're gonna want to hear more from Real Rich. This is Frankie Red on 101.
What up? It's Moneybag Rich at Real Moneybag Rich from Attractive Mindset, and I am so happy to be here collaborating with Phoenix TV. And you can search for us on Phoenix TV on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, check out our episode, and make sure you follow us on Instagram at Phoenix Mag and Real Moneybag Rich.
Is your revenue stuck? If you're an entrepreneur and your revenue is stuck, you don't need to fix your products or services. You need new audiences to discover you more consistently. Podcast guesting is the ideal way to be discovered 24 hours a day by your ideal clients. And guess what? The more people that know you, the more people can flow you. Head over to podcastmasterypack.com and take advantage of your first or next podcast.
Listen, y'all, we are back. We are back at One on One, sitting with the one and only Real Moneybag Rich, because we really rich. Woo. Real rich, because we really rich. Oh, we were having such great conversation before the break. And one of the things I want to say before I even ask you another question is I just want to admire and give you your flowers for being so vulnerable and honest with your past and your, you know, the things you've gone through, that story that you gave us about your mother. And we definitely want to talk about your brand and the contracts and a lot of the beautiful things you're involved with. But obviously our beginnings, our humble beginnings are what make us, right, as people. And something I want everyone out there to kind of keep in mind is when you see these entrepreneurs, they have these smiles on their faces, right? We are so graceful. We do everything that we love with passion and love. Sometimes there's a greater reason besides just loving what we do. Sometimes it's our unfortunate circumstances that led us into loving that because we needed a positive outlet. We needed a distraction or a way out of the hood. We needed a way to rise above our surroundings. So when I hear your story about what you're talking about with your strained relationship and kind of you having to even prove your mom wrong, that's what I think about. right? Because that's a very real thing that people don't realize is a real thing, but it just makes you so much more respectable, as everything that you do, because there's a reason that you have this passion and this drive, and it's greater than just I love what I do. It's, man, look, I needed to prove my mom wrong. I needed to be somebody. So that driving force and even that story, how would you say you implement some of those elements into you being a business mindset coach? Because I think someone with a story that powerful and profound is the perfect person, because they have been low and they rose above it. So that's how I see it, but how would you describe it from your perspective?
From my perspective, mindset is definitely everything, and the choice of people that you kind of learn to look up to, a few of the people that I don't like to use the word idolize, but that I look forward to, having a great deep conversation with is somebody like David Goggins. And so the man ran, and finished a marathon on broken ankles and kept going. And, that's a mindset shift into where you literally change the anatomy of your body, that you change the anatomy of things around you, your environment, based off of what you think about. And so, being a business mindset coach is the same thing. Like, everybody's going to deal with adversities over time, and you got to think differently in order to get differently, and perspective plays a big part on success. I always tell people that there's 4 systems to mindset. You have your emotional, then you have your mental, then you have your physical, and eventually you can get to your financial. A lot of people try to go straight towards their financial first, and it usually doesn't end up working out because they're dealing with emotional issues. They're dealing with, mental issues. They're dealing with physical issues, and physical doesn't necessarily mean things like the gym or anything like that, but are you excited to actually do the work? You know what I'm saying? You physically have to do the work for no matter what you do.
You have to get up. You have to rise.
Exactly. And so, just habits, and so that goes back into the behavioral patterns and instilling that type of discipline. And so, going full circle from nothing to what I have now, even with everything that I have now, I live a very life full of humility. I don't like to use the word humble, because you only use humble when people are scared of you. You know what I'm saying? Humbling is like lessening yourself for certain individuals. And I work for everything I have. And so I don't want to be humble, but I will move with a certain level of humility, because I don't need to throw it in people's face and everything like that. So, being able to just take a situation and
turn it. It's a great way to break that down there. I'm sorry to cut you off, but
that's good.
Because I think people don't realize the difference between humility, being humble, and being humbled. Mm-hmm. And even the concept of being humbled, right, is to not necessarily have to say it. It speaks for itself.
Exactly.
Right? When someone compliments you, it's not met with reasoning or this is how or explanations. It's just, thank you. Right? That's, to me, being humbled. And so for you to speak about humility, I think that's wonderful, because that's not talked about enough. People no longer show humility. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's a synonym. It's a synonym of, humble. And so being able to connect those two words to a lifestyle, I like to move with humility, because I understand where I came from and how that can still do things for other people. And so I'm very active in talking about situations that I went through, but also, hey, I didn't stay there. We don't talk about it for long. I don't harp on the past. It doesn't come up, and if I have to create something else, which is how the name Rich really, formatted, my name is not Rich. You know what I'm saying? My name is Darian. Which starts with a D. It's a whole different name.
I love the hand flow. Y'all caught that, Darian. Like, it's like, woo. You saw the pattern, you saw the flow.
And so Darian is very introvert. Darian is very personal. Darian,
introverted.
Yes, absolutely. He doesn't come outside. He doesn't do anything like that.
Who's that guy? That's the anime guy.
Absolutely.
I was the
anime game. He likes playing games. He likes watching anime. He likes to just really be alone. But Rich is the business personality. Rich is the one that you're going to meet when you walk into the room. He's going to be outspoken. He's going to be upfront with you. He's going to be rash. He's going to be raw. He's going to be like, man, who is that person? And so imagine watching your favorite TV show. Life is reality. That's why they call it reality. And so I created a persona for reality, which is Rich.
And that is reality to you, or the reality you are portraying for others?
Both, because how I see me versus how you see me is two different ways. We might have similar visions of it, but you'll always see me in a different light than I see myself.
Spoken like a true business mindset coach. I have a great question that I want to really dive into, right? Walk me through your day from when you wake up till you go to sleep.
Honestly, this is going to be the most simple, boring answer. Honestly, there is a lot of nothing sometimes, and there's a lot of everything sometimes. And what that means is I'm in full control of my time. There's absolutely nothing on this planet that I have to do. 85% of my income is already residual. So if I stop doing business from today forward, I would make money if I died. I would make money if I went to another country. I would make money if I was sleeping. I'd make money if I was on vacation. The money wouldn't stop. And so when you're in a position like that, a lot of people can get to a point where they're like, oh, well, I don't want to do anything. I want a vacation all the time. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to whatever. But for me, I want to create a legacy. And so in me creating a legacy, I understand that it's bigger than me. And in undoing my mindset from the little bit of college that I did do, I dropped out, the high school that I did do, I said, hey, to get your PhD, I believe is about 10 years, right? And so I said, I want to be able to give myself, bless you. I want to be able to give myself at least 10 years in business. And so that was 5 years ago. I have 5 years left, and look how far I've gotten in 5 years. And so, for me, it's not a chase of a specific money amount. It's not a chase of, hey, I want to be the richest person on the planet or anything like that. Like, I want to influence people, and I want to show people that coming from nothing, coming from being told no all the time, coming from, not having anything, having to sleep in a house with like two other guys in New York during the winter with no hot water, no electricity, no anything like that. They came, they boarded it up and we would pull it down and go right back in and everything like that. Like, you can get to this point of life by changing how you think about certain things. I wasn't taught business. I didn't go to school for business. I only went to school, one, because the military paid for it, and I joined arts. And so that was easy. I was like, oh, I'll jump in front of a camera and act. I'll do whatever.
This is what I was born to do.
Yeah. And so that being that easy, I didn't study, business or say, hey, I want to, learn how to do books or taxes or anything like that. But when you're a leader, it comes naturally. And so even when I was in the streets, I led a lot of the things that I did with my friends. I led a lot of the things that we got into. And so that transcends to business. I don't think leadership is something that you can necessarily create. Leadership is more so a byproduct of who you choose to influence around you. And so that's what I kind of want to leave, is a trail of influence. Some people may pick it up. Some people may not. I have a specific style to me. I have a specific ideology to me, and it's not meant for everybody, but it is a version of success. And some people will be able to take what I leave and do the next level of it. I don't want my kids to do what I do. I want to be able to leave them a process to be successful in whatever they want to do.
I love that. And I love that you're speaking from it from a standpoint that it's like, okay, this is what I did. This is what you can do, but this is not what you have to do.
Absolutely.
That's dope. What time does Real Rich wake up?
Any time of the day that I want my eyes open. I really don't set alarms. If I set something in the morning with somebody, of course, I'll wake up for that time. But on a regular, just me, I don't have anything planned day, whenever I wake up, I usually go to sleep around like 5 a.m. And then I wake up, about 3-4 hours later. My sleep pattern is just in that mode because I got that dog in me right now. Yeah. And so for the next 5 years, for the 10 years, since I've started this, I've only been sleeping, 3 to 4 hours a day, period. And at one point when I was building the production company, it cost me because I crashed my car. I was up for 3 days straight, and wow. I literally totaled my car, and I crawled out of the car. That was my military mindset. I'm like, man, brush it off, whatever. The ambulance pulls up. They're like, bro, you need to get in. I said, no, I'm not. I'm not giving you any extra money. I said, hey, I'm going to call my friend. She's going to come pick me up and take me in. And I was messed up. I was out of the game for about 3 weeks. But even though I was hurt, and even though I knew the reason why, I wasn't drinking, I wasn't doing anything like that, I fell asleep and hit a tree. That's my only accident in my life. And
it was from working hard.
And it was from working hard. And so the fact that I couldn't physically pull up to shoots anymore or do anything anymore that's where mindset starts to kick in, because it's like, hey, that upfront money that you're making is gone. And I had 2 big shoots coming up. And I'm like, man, I can't reschedule with them. You know, one, I think already did a deposit or something like that. And so I had to start to pivot. And I said, hey, I need to start adding more people to my company. I said, real CEOs, real business people learn how to leverage time, leverage other people's time. And so there's 2 points in my production company's experience where I had to level up because of a situation that put me down. That was that time. And then a time that I got pneumonia where I literally couldn't move for like a month and some change. And so, you know, to fast forward that, we went from 2 or 3 people in ROV at the time, which was me, Dan, and my ex. And, you know, we have 54 contractors now.
Wow, that's awesome. Do you still work with your ex-girlfriend?
No, she quit.
Oh, man. They say don't poop where you eat. What happened? That wasn't a part of the business mindset 101.
Well, listen, I do. There's 2 sides of the fence to that. And so it can work because you have to understand your mindset. And my mindset was unshifting. And so, you know, I could sit here and say like, oh, she wasn't perfect or anything like that or whatever, which nobody really is. But I wasn't at a height of version for myself either. And so I wasn't emotional enough for her. You know, I'm a machine, right? Even right now, I definitely have more emotion to me because I learned from that relationship. But I was just focused on, you know, working. I was focused on growing a company, and I didn't go on vacation with her. I went on my first vacation ever this year. I've never been on vacation until this year. And so I didn't take her out that often. I didn't go on vacations. I wasn't focused on, you know, the play dates and doing all of that extra stuff. I wasn't focused on myself personally. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't focused on the relationship aspect of a relationship.
Right. You were all business.
Yeah.
Minimum pleasure.
And I taught her how to do business very well. She was making money from it, but she's somebody that's necessarily not attached to money like that. And so she would rather the experiences, and I couldn't really give her that at the time. And so we butt heads a lot, which caused her to act a certain type of way, which caused me to act a certain type of way. And so it's just the back and forth. But, you know, we grow as human beings, and I understand that.
I hear the accountability in your voice. And I think that's an aspect that most people, I know that's an aspect that most people don't want to delve into, right? Because it's like, oh, Lord, if I'm being accountable, then that means along the line somewhere I wasn't responsible. And people forget that even within being responsible, you can still make mistakes. And hiding from them is not being accountable. So how important would you say is accountability to you, to Rich? And how much do you emphasize that in your clients?
Accountability is everything to me because I make sure that I don't really make mistakes, because when I do, I go hard on my employees and my contractors. You know, I go super hard. I tax them, you know, they might get fired, they might get fined, you know, whatever. And so being able to be that forefront, there's very little times that I make mistakes. There's very little things that they could bounce back and say, well, you did this or you had that. You know what I'm saying? And then if I do have a point in time where I do make that mistake, hey, you're right. I got this. Hey, cool. Next team meeting, drinks on me for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Or this and that, to make sure that I feel the same pain that they felt, because I taxed them for turning in, you know, assignments late or showing up to a shoot late or doing whatever they need to do on that end. And so, you know, accountability for my clients is super high because I want them to do everything how they do anything. And that's like one of my best quotes is, you know, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yes, like, see what you mean, I mean what you say. It's the same thing. High five too on that 5 o'clock. Okay, I be sleeping 2, 3 hours, 4 hours, and people sometimes cannot believe what I say, that I don't need a long time to sleep, because I feel like the more I sleep, the more tired I become.
That's true.
And so when I sleep less, I'm ready to go, you know, kind of actively. So that kind of works in my world the same. I did want to ask you in terms of your clients, right? Before we went on break, you were like speeding through them and telling us about all these amazing opportunities. Talk to us about some of the clients that you represent as a business mindset coach. And then on the production side, some of your most profound work that you've done for some of, you know, clients.
So on the production side is definitely more. I haven't branded myself as a business mindset coach enough as my production company. And so I was definitely somebody that was the introvert in me. I hid behind my businesses. I fully grew ROV. And, even when people would meet me, if they would ask me, I would say, hey, I own the company. But even a lot of times I would go to events and I would just say we a lot. I would just say the company a lot. And so they would just think I work for the company and they would start to see a lot of us, and that's fine with me. But in me pushing the production company name out there, we've landed gigs with Emilio Estefan, doing a documentary for him, Bacardi, Denny's, Hard Rock Stadium, ESPN, working with these names, Rolling Loud, South by Southwest, all of these different stages, these different names, doing feature films with actors from Power, actors from Empire, different TV shows and stuff like that. And so being able to do music videos with somebody like Tory Lanez, we did one of his last music videos and everything like that. And being able to just see the company scale to that point, it's like, man, like this just started as like, hey, you have a camera, I know how to do business. Let's start with my first contractor ever, Daniel Nelson. Shout out to you, Dan. And just making that connection on the business mindset coaching part. Once we scaled that business to over 6 figures, I started saying, hey, I had a mentor at the time who said, don't focus on $1 million, because I'm like, man, 6 figures is not enough. I want to make $1 million. He was like, slow down. He said, do you know how to make $1 million right now? I said, no, that's why I'm asking you. And he was like, correct, but I'm not going to be around you forever. Do you know how to make 6 figures right now? I said, yeah. He said, open 10 businesses, make them all 6 figures. You'll get to $1 million. I said, what? Okay, cool. And so I started to do that. And in vetting the process, they say, 10,000 hours, makes you a master in something. I learned how to make a process so much in making 6 figures that I'm only on my 4th business and we do over $1 million now. And so, you know what I'm saying? When you combine all of these things together.
Rich, we told you.
When you combine all these things together, it becomes a process that it's like, okay, cool. I just have to do what I'm good at, be able to stay my lane. I've never tried real estate or really crypto or anything like that, but it doesn't feel like work to me because I like to create businesses. And in me creating businesses, I hire, minorities. I hire Black and Latino, My mom's side has Dominican on it and my dad's side is the Caribbean.
Yes,
and so
that's dope.
I want to put on for my people and make companies that can employ them and them doing what they love to do. You know what I'm saying? It may not be like, oh yeah, they're at the top of the company as a CEO, but they're doing what they love to do. I don't hire people that don't have a passion for what they do. I hire for attitude and then train for skill later.
You have to have an attitude for gratitude for people like this, okay? Definitely want to ask, how did you do it? How did you go from one Lone Ranger, Range of You production, to Range of You Productions with an S? How did you go from one to an army?
Whew. Honestly, it's just vision. You have to have a real Hawkeye type vision. And I said, hey, my mom just told me that I couldn't do this. You know what I'm saying? How? And that became the first process, or one of the first processes I learned to creating a foundation was, if I want a celebrity, what do I need to be able to pitch to a celebrity? If I want TV shows, what do I need in order to pitch the TV shows? If I want movies, I want magazines, I want this, I want that. And so being able to break things down is where my mind started to work. Like, okay, hey, if I start off at this camera, these are the average cameras. When you see the movies, I used to watch a lot of documentaries, a lot of BTS clips. And so people are excited for the actual movie. I'm excited for how they made the movie. I'm excited for how they made the music video. I'm excited for how they made the show. And I said, okay, cool. If I get that camera, if I get these lights, if I get this sound, if I get this, I get that, I should be able to shoot the same thing as them, right? And that's what I worked myself up to. And eventually we got the aperture lights. Eventually we got the red cameras. Eventually we got the Black Magics. Eventually we worked with the REs. Eventually we started doing that stuff. And it became attracted to us because we were shooting with them. And the only thing else that you had to add to that was personality. And so people will buy into you before they buy into whatever you're trying to sell. And so a lot of people can be really good at camera work, but that doesn't mean that they're good at being a personable kind of person. So
I think that the personable aspect doesn't make or break you as much as the business aspect, because you might not be personable, but you definitely are. Yo, you really be having like everybody on your show, like everybody. I love it. I love that you have these different elements, right? And what I wanted to say about that is there's something to tell when it's deeper than just the business, right? And like I said, you can have low personality skills, but great business skills and strive. And you really can't do it the other way around, though. You can't have poor business skills and a great personality and strive. It's going to get you far and it's going to get you into rooms, but it's not going to be the recipe to succeed. What would you say from your vantage point, not only as a business mindset coach, but also someone who's been an entrepreneur and done many different things? What would you say is the number one or top two things that really create an issue for entrepreneurs to stay focused? Because that focus is really where it's at. But we have so many, just like your mentor told you, open 10 different businesses and make them all 6 figures. Yeah, but you still need focus. So how do you do that all while moving around with so many different parts?
And so in order to really focus on what not only I want to teach towards clients, but to help them get to the next level and myself get to the next level, basically what we do is I teach them that you have to visualize everything, even if it seems unrealistic to you. And so everything that I have is boards, is sheets. And so one of the first things that we do, one of the first things that we do when they come into the coaching program is, hey, what are your goals? Both business-wise and both personal-wise. And literally I just have them list their goals and they say, oh, I want to make $1 million. Oh, I want to do this. Oh, I want to do that. Oh, I want to do this. And then I break it into those 4 systems that I talked about, which is the emotional, the mental, the physical, then the financial. And I say, emotionally, how do you feel about making $1 million? Oh, I mean, I feel good, yeah, that's it. But how do you really feel about making $1 million? And then when they're realistic with themselves, a lot of people start saying, well, I don't really know, because you don't know. You've never done it. So how can you feel that? You know what I'm saying? Then we go to a mentality type of, aspect. What are you thinking to do to make that $1 million? And really breaking down those thoughts. And then physically, what work do you feel like you have to do up front? Then financially, of course, is the $1 million. You get to where you're trying to go.
The $1 million question.
And so, there's something that a good friend of mine said, Omari Bryant, and that also stuck with me, was there's 3 things that you have to do. You have to earn your way, you have to learn your way, and you also have to serve your way. And so a lot of things that we did up front to scale as a production company was cut the money. If I understand that they're winning over there and my quality can be better than some of the people that they're working with or whatever, it's cool. You don't have to pay me right now. I'm not looking for the upfront bag. I want you to notice that, hey, we're willing to grow with you. This is what we bring to the table. We bring a certain level. When it comes to business, a lot of people, involve a certain level of emotions that makes them bad decision makers. But from a business standpoint, you can't look at it that way. What's the most beneficial thing for you? And I tell people that all the time. If you find somebody that's cheaper for me and better than what I do, take them. You know what I'm saying? Because that means I'm not doing what I need to do in order to keep you as a business front. Whether it's a coach, whether it's production company, whether it's whatever, I'm not doing what I need to do to satisfy. You have to be vested
into me. So
exactly.
Not just what I do.
Exactly. And so being able to go above and beyond, and that doesn't always necessarily mean like discounts or staying longer or doing this and that, because it also has to be mutually beneficial. As you're growing your platform, am I growing mine? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of videographers out there that are like, man, I can shoot this, I can do this, I can do that. But are you branding yourself properly? Are you getting yourself out there? I know if ROV Production shoot a video with somebody, we have the bigger brands already. So people from Rolling Out are watching our stuff. People from South by Southwest, people from Bacardi, people from Hard Rock, people from Tory Lane's team, people from Griselda, New York, all of that is watching our stuff already. And so we're also giving you an audience on top of the quality that you're getting. And so you're not shooting with just a local name for a cheaper price. And so you're getting marketing within the marketing. And that's what people have to understand, that you have to build yourself, not only just your skill. And so it goes on a double level.
What is your personal mantra?
My personal mantra is, we look good, we live good, life is good, talk to me, and I talk back.
Oh my God, he actually had that like right on hand. Did you like that? Did you like that? You want to clap for that? If I felt it. Well, Real Rich, thank you so much for sitting with us here at One on One at the Phoenix TV. Before we go, I definitely want you to connect with our followers, our viewers, let them know where it is that we can find you. But before that, my final question. Earlier, we were talking about what drives you, right? And for me, I always like to, as a PR person, someone who consults for a living as well, I always like to ask my clients, what is their why? Because if they can tell me their why, I can figure out how. What is Rich's why?
My why is making America great again.
Oh Lord, he's canceled. Cover this show, Epson. Crazy lights. Tell me, how are you reformatting that very, very popular slogan?
And so basically with that slogan, pretty much I focus on, I grew up in the 90s, you know what I'm saying? And so I went out one day and got beat up in Halloween. They took all my candy, you know what I'm saying? I went back to the crib and my stepfather was like, did you die? He was like, they just wanted to test your jaw strength a little bit. Nowadays we live in an age where you might not get beat up. You might actually get shot. You might actually get, stabbed up. You can't really just go certain places and be a certain type of way. We live in an era of a huge amount of sensitivity. We live in an era of a huge amount of social media where people are afraid to connect with each other again. And that's not how I grew up. So that's not really the America I know. It developed into this. And so I want to make America great again by being my natural self, being raw. I still listen to mostly old school hip hop music. I still interact with people the same way. I still dress the same way. And a lot of people feel like, oh, you got to throw on a suit and tie. You got to be this and that. And there's moments, of course, for that. But be who you are. Just because you have a message to speak, your audience is going to captivate you if you understand who your target audience is. And I'm not presenting a fake version of myself just to make money from certain people. You know what I'm saying? I might not be for a super, super corporate business. That doesn't mean I can't teach a super corporate business. On my business mindset coaching side, one of my biggest contracts is Toyota right now. You know what I'm saying?
Wow,
and we have 3 dealerships in South Florida. And so if they see value in what you represent, they're going to book with you no matter what you do. And all I've been is myself. And so nobody can ever come to me and be like, nah, Rich was fake, or Rich was this, Rich was that. And so, just make America great again. Just be who you are, man.
You took opportunities and you even interview people. Like I said, you've had K-Dot, you've had Brian McQueen, right? You've had the Big Three Alliance. You have all this range of different people and, all these different aspects to you. I just want to say congratulations on all of your success.
Thank you.
Make sure that you guys support Attractive Mindset, follow Attractive Mindset. Watch my interview, shameless plug, just saying, it's amazing. And I definitely want you to let our viewers know where they can find you, your production, and of course, your podcast.
Absolutely. You can find me personally at Real Moneybag Rich on Instagram or any social media platform. If you type that in, you'll find me, or my production company, which is ROV, as in Romeo Oscar Violet Productions. And that's also on any platform, but we're mostly on Instagram or YouTube. So make sure you check us out. And of course, the podcast, Attractive Mindset, which is spelled phonetically attractive. And so if you don't know what that is, I want you to do some homework. Go look it up. I'm not going to spell it for you. Do some actual work.
Ooh, he's putting you to work already. He's changing your mindset right now. Listen, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate you. As always, I am your favorite chica, Frankie Red, right here from the Phoenix TV. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure that you follow us on Instagram at the Phoenix Mag. And also be sure to follow us on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe. You got to subscribe, because if you haven't subscribed, what do you actually do? You see these videos? Like, why haven't you clicked them? Like, hurry up. Like, time is of the essence. Follow me, your favorite chica, Frankie Red, at Frankie Red Words. Frankie with the I-E. Red is the color. Words with a Z. Till next time on One on One.
That's all, folks.